want to take the time to go over some extra examples in our 2-1 section with literal equations. So we look at this and we're told to solve for x, and I see that x is in the numerator. So I think the first thing I want to do is get rid of my denominator by multiplying it out. I'm doing that to cancel it. I am not going to distribute it. And if I multiply that side by c, I want to multiply over here. So as of now, I have 3ax plus 2b is equal to 4dc or cd. And then the next thing I'm going to do is subtract the 2b and then continue working to get x by itself. All right, so go ahead and move that 2b over by subtracting it. We're just going to tack it on. So 3ax equals 4dc minus 2b. And the next thing I'm going to do is divide everything by the 3a. And I'm going to do it in one piece here. And that's it. That cancels out. And my final answer is x equals 4cd, I'm going to rearrange that, minus 2b all over 3a. All right, and the next one, we're also solving for x, but the first thing I do is I want to scan the problem, and I see x on the left, and I see it on the right. As much as I want to divide out the 2q, I don't want to divide yet, because when you're solving and you're going to keep that as a fraction, you don't want to be dividing a second time. So in this case, it is best to distribute so we can get that x out of the parentheses. So I have 3px is equal to 2qr minus 10qx. And again, maybe you have that in a little different order, and that's okay. The next thing I want to do is I want to add this 10qx over to the other side. So 3px plus 10qx is equal to 2qr. Okay, what that did for me was get both of these x's on the left-hand side. The downfall is they're not like terms. This has a p and that has a q, so I can't add them. So this is the secret. If I have the variable x in two places and they're not like terms, I need to extract it. I need to really divide it out. And so it's really the idea of factoring out the x or using reverse distribution. And so now I've got my x in one place. So I isolated on the left-hand side, and then I pulled that out. I divided it out or factored it. So redistributing it would get me back to the original. And now that I have x times this quantity, I'm going to divide by the 3p plus 10q. I'm going to divide this whole piece by 3p plus 10q. So that cancels and leaves me x equals 2qr over 3p plus 10q. All right, we have a third problem here, and we're going to change it up and solve for v. So I'm going to use my order of operations whenever I'm solving equations, but we really go backwards. Oh, wow. Let me try that again. Hold on. All right. It's, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. I was talking and not paying attention. So I'm going to follow my order of operations, and I'm going to move backwards. I have the answer. I want to move backwards by getting rid of addition and subtraction. You can also look at it as isolating the v by pulling things that are further away from it. So subtract that w, and I have 5/9 times v is equal to z minus w. And that little line in your z might help you not turn it into a 2. I have 5/9 times v. All right, so normally when we have multiplication, we get rid of it by dividing by 5/9. The problem is we can't divide by a fraction and leave it there. So my choice, instead of dividing by a fraction, would be to multiply by the reciprocal. Okay, if you're thinking, oh, opposite reciprocals, that is for perpendicular lines. We're just using the reciprocal because it's 45 over 45, or the 9's cross cancel and so the 5's. So on the left, I have just v. And on the right, you could leave it as 9/5 times the quantity z minus w, or you could distribute it. Either answer is sufficient depending on the directions. Now, some of you might not have done that. You could have multiplied out the 9 and multiplied by 9 and then come back and divided everything by 5. We get the same end result. So someone else might have the answer of 9/5 times z minus w. You might also see the answer of 9z minus 9w, all divided by 5. So any of those answers are good in different forms. Okay, so we have another one, and we are solving for w. Now my first instinct was don't distribute this and put more things with w, let's divide by 2. But I have to remind myself, in a literal equation, if I'm already dividing by 2 and it's stuck as division, I'm going to have to divide again since w is times something. So this is a case where I do want to distribute. Okay, I can't simplify it the other way. So 2lw plus 2lh plus 2wh. All right, so we have the same issue. I have w in 2 spots. So the first thing I want to do is leave the w's there and move this 2lh by subtracting it. And it's still equal to 2lw plus 2wh. So let's use what we've been thinking about. I have w in 2 spots. How do I get it into 1? All right, this is the point where we want to pull that w by factoring it out, or you can use the idea of reverse distribution. And maybe it'd be better if I wrote an s. All right, try that again. I have s minus 2lh is equal to a w times 2l plus 2h. Yes, you'll notice these are L's. I should have said that at the beginning. I use cursive L's or italic L's so they don't look like I's or 1's. Okay, so here we go. I've got it. Here's my W, and then I just need to divide out the 2L plus 2LH, so I have W by itself. And I think it's good to take a minute and rewrite your final answer without having all this extra stuff with it. One of the mistakes people make is they get to the end and they get really excited and they say, ooh, I can do some more things to this. And you can't. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 terms here. And unless you can take something out of all 4 terms, you can't distribute or take it out. So the 2 can come out of these 3, but there's no 2 there. And the H can come from here, but can I take it from here? So unless you can take it out of all the terms or factor it out to cancel, this is it. That is your final answer. No extra canceling allowed. Okay, last one. This is an interest formula. The amount is equal to P plus PRT. P is your principal. Principal times rate times time would be the interest. And so that's the total amount in the account. You don't need to know all that. We just need to solve for P, and look at that. P is in 2 places on one side, and so we're going to do that thing, which is to distribute. All right, so as I was saying, we're going to do the reverse distribution. So I have A equals P, and here's the catch, 1 plus RT. Are you going to catch that? Because if I don't have that 1 there, I would never get the P back by itself. And then there's that PRT. So that's the catch right there, and it gets a lot of people. So be careful. So I have 2 terms. I should have 2 terms to redistribute. And then I'm going to divide by 1 plus RT, divide by 1 plus RT. So here it is, P equals A over 1 plus RT. So basically, when you're doing these little equations, let's say the information I have the A, the R, and the T, and I want to know what P is. Rather than repeatedly solving for that part, I just solve for the literal equation, and now I can put in what I have and find out what the original amount was for principal.